Russia-Ukraine war continues to rage on, with both sides continuing to trade fire. In the latest, Ukraine says at least 2 people were killed in attacks on the Ukrainian cities of Sumy and Kherson, while several others were injured. According to Ukraine's Air Force, Russia launched over 41 missiles and 125 drones on the night of July 18 in what Zelensky claims to be one of Russia's largest missile barrages on Kyiv. Helicopters and more than 200 emergency workers battled a massive warehouse fire near Kyiv in the aftermath of the attack. The intensity of the ballistic strike has been captured in a body cam footage. This comes as Ukraine claimed responsibility for fresh strikes on Russian energy infrastructure. It said its forces targeted 3 oil depots and a fuel facility in Russia's Stavropol region. This comes a day after Ukrainian forces struck 2 Russian logistics centers in central Russia, killing at least 8, according to Russian officials. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukrainian forces directly struck what it called 3 Russian Shadow Fleet tankers in the Black Sea. He said the strikes targeted facilities that support and fund Russia's military campaign. Zelensky describes them as part of Kyiv's long-range operations against Moscow's military assets. Beyond strikes, Russian forces have now taken control of Vilny settlement in eastern Ukraine, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This as Moscow continues its push across parts of the Donetsk region. The reported capture comes as Russian forces continue their offensive in eastern Ukraine, attempting to make slow advances along the front line. However, the latest missile attack has once again exposed Ukraine's shortage of US-made Patriot air defense systems, which are considered among the most effective to stop Russian ballistic missiles. Remember, days ago, President Trump said he is open to allowing Ukraine to produce Patriot air defense systems under license. And joining us live from Washington, D.C. is retired Colonel David B. Desroches. He's a professor at Thayer Marshall Institute and former Deputy Director for Peacekeeping in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Colonel Desroches, great to have you back, and thank you very much for your time. President Zelensky is fighting 2 wars, quite literally, one at home with a reshuffle, backlash and protest, and the other is Russia, is unrelenting. How do you think it's going to play out for him?
Well, I thought he was going to be overthrown within 3 weeks at the start of the war, so I might not be the person to ask. He's surprisingly adroit politician and a military strategist. He's changed the nature of war. The issue at home, I think, is about him consolidating his ministries and ensuring that he remains as the president, where he's done a incredible job. In terms of the war, it's really remarkable. I mean, he's had 2 years of repelling what should have been a walkover from the Russians. And now it looks as though the momentum is actually shifting towards Ukraine. What we're seeing is the Russians are losing about 35,000 soldiers a month. 50,000 is the level at which they start to collapse. We're also seeing success in destroying Russian oil and gasoline production, which means that particularly the Crimea is becoming isolated. So if he can hold out, we don't know how many soldiers he has, but these missile attacks need to be viewed as an act of desperation by Putin, who, just can't take many more air raids on Moscow and St. Petersburg.
Colonel Desroches, some critics in Ukraine say President Trump cannot be trusted and his willingness to end the war in Ukraine has dissipated. What's your reaction to that, having in mind European leaders have backed Ukraine for quite a while now?
Well, I think that's actually a good thing, because when Trump said he wanted, bear in mind, Trump holds Zelensky in part responsible for his first impeachment. So in Trump's view, I think, I haven't spoken to him, but I think that he basically feels that when this first impeachment was going on, if Zelensky had just made a public statement saying, look, there's nothing here, this is all made up, none of this stuff happened, we're fighting the war, with our American partners, and Donald Trump is one of those, that impeachment effort would have disappeared. So he's got some personal grief, and he might be more willing to support it. But when Trump says end the war, he doesn't mean he's going to do it by force. He means he's going to get the parties together and force them to come to a deal, because that's how he sees himself, as the master deal maker. So for Zelensky, that means giving up some of Ukraine's territory, probably Ukraine, and almost emphatically most of the Donbass, which is all of their industrial capacity. It would leave Ukraine as a semi-landlocked agrarian state. And of course, there's no guarantee that in 5 years, Russia might not say, oh, Odessa is a Russian city too. So I think the fact that he's backing off and that the Europeans are stepping up is actually positive for Ukraine.
All right, talking about Europe stepping up, Colonel Des Roches, your quick thoughts on incoming Prime Minister Andy Burnham. Do you think he's going to be more present and active when it comes to the Ukraine issue than Keir Starmer? Very quickly.
No, I don't. He was elected on a domestic agenda, and the UK money is running out of, the UK government is running out of money to fund social services. The party that put Burnham in charge without an election is a party that wants to find a way to deliver more social services without raising taxes. Full stop.
Full stop indeed. Colonel Des Roches, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for your thoughts and for talking to us today.
It's an honor.